find out, do they allow unlimited public access? Do they control it at specific times? Or do they not allow public access for these facilities? And rather than all of a sudden at a later time say we should look at this, but I think it's something that we should, I know Scottsdale put in a number of them, and there's probably plenty of them down in the valley that have these all-weather fields. But I think it would be prudent for us to do that.
On February 1st, myself and a couple of the district employees went down to the Phoenix area and toured multiple sites. That was something that was brought up. I will consult with our bond council because it is bond dollars. Technically, it's public money.
Yeah.
We had a school who shared with us that they leave their facilities open on the weekends for public access. They try to limit that as much as they can for those reasons. That it is a large amount of money that will be invested for vandalism purposes and other things where there are some concerns with that. But I will see if I can get a definite answer from the bond council as to whether or not we're able to restrict access, and if so, to what extent.
I just think the public would, because they're the ones that down the line pay for this, that they would want to know that, and that, we're trying to be good stewards of the money that we're given, rather than saying we got the thing out here and now, and then at a later time we find out that there's been some problems with it, and then we go back to them and say, well, this has to be fixed at last. So, I'm sure, I do know that the Scottsdale School District has put it in, and I'm sure maybe out of Chandler or whatever they've done. So it would make me feel a lot better if we get this out front of everyone.
Will you present that next week? I'll make sure that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question also. Have we seen any large changes in the financial situation with it?
As far as the cost of the project? Yeah. Well, you'll recall we had a work session several months ago where we looked at these figures and how that money was actually distributed and allocated. We looked at the Citizens for Havasu Schools pamphlet. We've had conversations with bond counsel when it comes to that, making sure that we are aligned properly with how we're going to properly spend these dollars. Everything that we are doing falls under, if you look at the voter pamphlet that went out to the voters, what we're doing as far as renovations to our facility falls under the non-administrative purposes. There's just under $36 million that was communicated to the voters in the areas of constructing, remodeling, renovating, improving school facilities and buildings. So every upgrade that we do with that facility, especially the athletic fields, would fall under that category. There's also noted that it's broken out, and there's improvements to athletic fields as a separate line item, just over $5.3 million. So between the two areas, the renovation and improvements, and that broken out line item of specific improvements to athletic facilities, we're completely compliant in whatever is approved coming forward.
Okay, I guess all I'm getting at is we saw a rather large amount that we had underestimated the last time you showed it to us. Now that you're in the process, are we finding ourselves pretty much status quo with what you showed us? Or have we begun to find places that we're going to be spending a lot more money?
No, the cost, when we came to you at the work session, those were estimate figures based on what the architect could gather at that time, based on just current market conditions. what was brought to my attention just recently with a few tragedies, those weather emergencies that have happened across the country over the last several months. That didn't help conditions, and obviously now the economy is improving as well. That's not in our favor either, because everyone's a lot busier now, and the cost of goods have gone up. So based on not actually looking at having hard numbers in front of us, the actual bids and proposals from vendors, and going off of just estimates from the market conditions at the time, what will be before you next week is an actual guaranteed maximum price based on submitted bids and proposals to our general contractor.
Okay, we won't be looking at shifting funds from other.
It will all come through, like I mentioned, it'll come from the general account. Now, with that being said, because the amount is obviously more than what we originally anticipated, that will mean that there will most likely be some scaling back in certain areas where we may have wanted to provide some interior paint in certain buildings that may be kept out as a needed basis versus just repainting the whole entire facility of our buildings. We'll have to look at that as time goes on. Our maintenance department is continually approaching our school facilities board with projects, and we have been very fortunate that they are taking on some of these dollar amounts, these projects, and fully funding them. So that relief there will at least help us recover some of the increase in expenses for the athletic.
Well, you know what my concern is. I just don't want us to get in a position where we commit ourselves to so much to the ball fields, and some school out here that needs attention isn't getting it. And I want us to make sure we don't allow that to happen.
We sat down together, and when I say we, it's myself and we came to an understanding that we need to develop a list of priorities, and that's what we're following now. For example, flooring is a major priority because it can be trip hazard. So there's some areas that are non-negotiables when it comes to these are specific needs that must be addressed on a fairly large scale. And we'll do that according to our needs and to the safety services that need to be addressed. And there's other projects that will be similar in nature. But where at all possible, we can go to the SFP and receive full support from them and full funding from them. We need to do that. We've been doing that for some time.
I'd be interested as we go through this process, if there's anything we promised our constituents during the election that we're going to have to cut. I'd love to know.
I don't see any areas where we will cut and not fully commit to those. I think it's just going to be based on true need. And even going into this, we all knew that the bond dollars that were passed wasn't going to address everything. It was going to address critical areas, and that continues to be our focus. The thing that concerns me the most is that we went to the public, whether it was implied or not. I think we focused on the athletic field, saying that these are the items that you're going to see improved and rebuilt and reconstructed and new items put in based on the conversations that we're having, whether we have some schools or other committees that were formed. That's why we came to you in that work session several months back to say we have a sod option. We can either go with sod, and here's the cost savings to that.
Okay. That's a good way to get attention.
Well, I'll tell you what, look at that chair.
I got something to say about these donated chairs.
Well, the diet plan.
We saved mine on
So many call Weight Watchers.
Sorry about that.
Are you okay?
It's not going.
Yeah, Yeah, I understand, I have no problem with all that, I just don't want somebody that's just saying, smoke tree saying, hey, you told us we were gonna get new cabinets and we're not getting them. I mean, if that comes up, I want to names.
I don't think we'll be in that position, just again, the scale and the scope of what we were originally going to do. Time will tell, again, as long as the SFP continues to help fund us in certain other areas, then we'll be able to cover some of those additional costs from the athletic. So that's the main concern that I have, is if we implied or promised the community that these were the upgrades that would be done in our athletic fields, even if they may have been under budgeted or funded from the beginning. And that's why I think we're having this conversation. It was clear from that work session that synthetic turf was the way that we needed to go, because that is what the public believes that was promised to them. That's why we had that work session, and that's why we held true to that, and then you'll see the numbers that we reflect the costs associated with what was promised from the
Is it appropriate now, because I know we're dealing with athletic facilities, but ask any other questions on the, the bond money?
Probably not.
Okay, okay,
We would need to have it as a bond update.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, our general contractor, core construction, architect, PMC2, they'll be present next week as well. Again, I told them to limit it to about 10 minutes for the presentation and then allow time for questions. We should have drawings, and we were working on a 3D model rendering as well of what you'll see as part of these improvements.
I have a couple of questions. As a member of Citizens Havasu Schools, this business wants to be a bad statement up front that we are this far out of range on what we originally talked about on the field versus field at
This one is
dollar amount. I agree with you. I think it's important that we deliver every single last part of the bond projects to the best of our ability. And I think it would be remiss if we didn't turn over every last stone to get there. With that said, we go back into the 2014 bond projects, and the 2014 bond projects had this in there at the same times. So if we would have passed the bond in 2014, we would have been in the same position as we are today with the cost overruns and problems with the project. But I think it's important that we deliver. And I'm going to pin you down. As it sits today, understanding what the school facilities board has done, we believe that we will miss any of the projects in any substantive way that we have this bond based on the cost overrun of this project.
I don't know if we missed anything, but again, it comes down to just how much of it we'll be able to address. Goes back to my point of painting the materials. Do we need to limit that type of a project to what are the actual needs when we address those needs? Whether it's the auditorium, the gym, let's say, the front office, the classrooms, the hallway. We're not going to intentionally cut corners, or we're not going to cut corners to just for the sake of cutting corners. We're going to be strategic in how we appropriately spend these bond dollars. I hear what you're saying.
We've seen, and I can only again reiterate Mr. Henson and his staff. We talk about the painting at the high school. We actually have gotten a better paint job than we would have gotten through the bond. And so we've gained on both ends. We have a better ceiling, and then we also have some money freed up to us. We've done several of the air conditioning units that we had anticipated were going to have to come out of the bond have already come out. So I think we're going to continue to realize those savings. So over the course of the whole project, it'll probably balance. But I also am concerned that regardless of this and making up this amount on the stadium, there are still going to be some things that will not be able to do in the future because of just the changes in the amounts, the cost, and so forth.
And that really was, that's the start of my follow-up question was, I know that we've gone with the school facilities board, and I know that we're inclined to a pretty decent number. Just in rough numbers, I'm not gonna hold you to it. But what have we saved today from the school facilities board?
Since I've been here, about $8 million.
On the bond project.
On the bond projects, we're probably around $2 million right now. Oh, well, because I didn't a lot, like she says, I think I only had 750 for painting, and we got $1.7 million for that, because we did a completely different than had we done it.
Right.
Between what we saved on bond project, probably about $1.5 million, probably close to that.
Does that include the chillers over at Smoke Tree?
See the what?
That's the chiller smoke
Chillers.
tree, that's coming
No.
up here this summer.
No, that one we're hoping to get in
That's another, what, 800,000?
probably $1 million plus. Yeah.
That's all I have.
I think I can get it all back for everything we get for the thing and the life of the bond. I think we can get it all back from the state. It's not gonna be easy, but yes.
Just as in addition to that, Ms. Murray mentioned things like interior painting and so forth. We knew that interior painting would probably be a luxury in the bond, but we've also been able to, through the sort of our schools, for example, there's been some interior painting done, there's been other opportunities that have then again freed up an opportunity within the bond to do other things. So that's always helpful. Right, item 6.2. This is a request to approve the purchase of student chairs. We're looking at recommending the bulk order of student chairs for our elementary schools. Our staff has gone through and done an assessment. We know that it's been at least 15 years since we've done a bulk order. And the idea would be that we would replace all of the chairs at the 6th grade level. And then those that are still in good condition could be then used to replace others that are not in good condition, and be the first step in us helping to have some appropriate furniture in our schools. And this will come from the sale of surplus items.
Can you get Nicole on the chair over that?
Information there. Item 6.3 is an item that we talked about at the previous board meeting, and this is our formal recommendation to the board to eliminate the moratorium on the addition of tax credit clubs and activities. This also comes with it some forms that would include the annual review of a tax credit club, the request to add a tax credit club, and the request to delete the tax credit clubs. And those would come forward again to the board.
Just a suggestion on the forms, maybe they could have their mission or their goal for their, the reason that they're developing the club
On the application.
on the application.
On the purpose and educational benefit of the tax credit activity, they're expected to include a detailed justification.
Okay,
So that would be that.
then that would be it.
Yeah.
I've just
But
never
they don't always
seen
say educational benefit is kind of the purpose. Any other questions?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to let that one go quite yet. So I understand educational purpose, but when we have X number of tax credit clubs, every one that we do add, which was the whole reason they put the moratorium on, is that it pulls away. So if we're already serving that educational purpose with one club, I guess that's why I wanted to know what the mission was. But if it's gonna be explained, Where did you say? Purpose, yeah. Detailed summary, if it's gonna be explained in the detailed summary, then that's fine. But I think we have multiple clubs that serve kind of the same purpose. I mean, educationally, they're teaching them the same things, so there's always gonna be new ways to get women.
I'll make a note of that. I know a question came up regarding the annual review and the expectation of that, especially when you look at the high school, for example, where they have many clubs. So I guess wanting to know, I encourage principals to be here tonight just so that they can hear any counsel that you would give them, because they're the ones who ultimately be before you at some point, either requesting to add or delete or review. So I just want to make sure that we're setting them up for coming to you the first time with the information that you would like to see and hear from them. So when it comes to the review, how detailed do you want that to be? Is an annual review? These are just proposed forms based off of conversation and hearing your concerns. Is an annual review required? I just want to know, as I'm thinking of Mr. Becker and his staff, and coming in annually with the annual review of all those clubs, how that could be a pretty time-consuming process.
I would think, and this is just my thought, that each one of the clubs that we're talking about at the high school, outside of the sports, would have a sponsoring teacher attached to it. And I think that the club would produce its own review. Principal would review the review, and then it would get kicked up. And I don't know that we need to have everybody come up in front of the board. I think this is something that we could probably throw through the consent agenda.
In a spreadsheet, I mean, I think the review can be done in a spreadsheet, so long as.
So not a formal presentation, just submission of data.
The thing we're looking for is indication that Mr. Becker does this, I'm sure, but the next principal, the one after that, actually does review those things, that they are done on a yearly basis.
We're looking for a heartbeat.
Yes.
Outside of athletics.
We want the athletic stuff brought as well.
Well, I, for one, am very interested in athletics, and that's great. And anything monetary that goes with athletics.
So you have the head coach then, the varsity head coach, prepare that with my thought process.
If it has a tax, only if it has
If we're using tax
only
credit.
if we use a tax credit for it.
So this form in front of you for annual review, based on the bullet points there, that would be fine, as long as they're providing all that information in written form, we can send it to the board.
One thing, just for the people that are applying for a new request, I think it's important to let them know that myself, I don't know if the other board members, but I'm going to be looking for what the impact is. You know, if they're coming in with something for 3 students to form a club, and somebody else is coming in, like that one we had for a yearbook for the whole school. Yearbook for the whole school obviously has a higher impact on the student body. And I'm going to want to know what the impact is going to be on this proposal they're making.
Item 6.4, this is requesting the board to approve the request for applicants for trustees for the Employee Benefit Trust. We had 2 positions that expire in June of 2018, and so we felt that it would be good to get that process going so that it is not rushed like the last time. And now we do have a policy that we can follow, EIC, And this allows us to start that process if approved at the next meeting. Item 6.5. This is a request to approve some revisions to our intergovernmental agreement between Lake Havasu City and Lake Havasu Unified. We had a group that met and went over these proposed changes, and the city council will be voting on that this evening on their agenda. So this comes forward for our board approval.
I have a question. Putting Cypress Wildfield, or we call it Cypress Cars, in the city's asset pool, how does that work legally? Do we still own?
No, we sold it.
How did we do that?
The city, we put an IGA together with the city and they gave us, $40 million.
Right, that was done in December of 2016.
2016.
Yes, and so because they are a governmental agency, we could have a sale. If we were to do a sale that was not between government agencies, we would have to go to the voters to approve that. And so there was a process that we went through, our attorneys worked together.
Okay, so this is just follow-up.
Correct, so this is correcting and clarifying. And so one of the things that that came out of this is some clarification and communication, but also to just generally, as opposed to naming all of the city facilities, just like we don't name every school, this references the city parks, their multi-purpose areas, and so forth. In the past, they were named specifically, and every time there was a change, we had to do a revision. Item 6.6 is a new policy that is coming forward. It's the policy, the regulation, and the exhibit. And this is a policy that is required under the guidelines for website accessibility. I believe those are federal guidelines. And what it does is it provides the statement that we will have an accessible website, which is part of the reason that we went to School Insights, because they can do that for us. And then the regulation just suggests the process for the complaint process, and then the exhibit is the actual complaint form that's available for website accessibility. Within the policy, the CSBA provides us a policy, and what you'll note that's highlighted is we deleted the language that they included there. We are asking that the form be completed, and then we added the word written for the response, because we believe that we need to have a documentation not only of the submission of the complaint, but of the resolution of it. Item 6.7, as you are aware, we did have our discipline subcommittee meetings that was the first group that was convened by the board as a subcommittee. And we had two meetings, thank you, where we developed a philosophy statement based on the participation of the group. So this provides the philosophy statement that was developed by that committee and is coming forward for the board, because this becomes the board's philosophy statement. And so this would be the opportunity of this meeting to discuss it and make any revisions and then approve it. And then what will happen as a result of this philosophy statement is that will guide down the revisions of our handbooks, the revisions of our policies for handling student behavior issues and so forth.
I don't remember what it tend to be proposed. I look at this though, where I say we have a philosophy statement, and the first paragraph is just gobbledygook. I mean, it has no place. I don't care. I mean, if that's what the committee wants, I'll vote for it, but why do we have to put so many words to say something? Yeah, I know. It's like everything done by a committee.
conceptually, this is what the committee felt they could support. I think that the board, certainly chooses to revise it or reduce it. This is going to be the board's statement, but this is the statement that provided the input. I think there's some key concepts in here that stick true to what the committee's feelings were, whether all the words are necessary, these certainly up to the board.
Like I said, I can support what the committee wants. I just, when we were talking about our statement, you know, there's a tendency for educators just to write a novel. It's just so much fun.
Well, it's only 2 sentences long, but I think it says a lot in 2 sentences. And so, if we're looking at the same thing down there that's in parentheses, that says a lot in 2 sentences, and so I think they got the message across.
The first paragraph is only 2 sentences. The whole,
Okay.
All the way to the bottom.
yeah, the whole half a page there is
Oh, okay, that's just the introductory sentence.
Yes.
Okay, well, it still says a lot in 2 sentences.
Are we going to define separately what responsible citizen means for the purpose of the statement?
yes, and thank you for bringing that up. As we talk about this in a contributing member of society, so that will be something that we'll bring forward for the board to do, because that's not the committee's role. Committees to make recommendations, but that particularly is our mission statement, so that will be up to the board to do. Which means we'll be having a work session.
So we can write more.
Any other questions on that? All right, item 6.8 is the recommendation that the board approve the comprehensive annual financial report, also known as the CAFR. This was the report that was developed as a result of our audit, and is the final report. It was sent electronically to the board and is available electronically. Anybody who requests it.
It's on the website.
Is it? Not yet.
But it will.
It will be once approved by the board.
Any surprises in it?
No, you'll recall that we had that meeting with our auditors when they were present a couple months back. And it held true to what they presented at the 2020. We did start to implement some of their suggestions when it comes to mini audits. That is now taking place with some members of my staff, as well as one of our IT individuals who's over student attendance. So that is occurring. They actually went out, I believe it was yesterday, for this week, and they've only visited multiple sites over the last few weeks. So it's kind of an ongoing monthly process.
So our annual audit was good.
Yes, it was an improvement over last year.
They have a new,
I'll have a couple slides to present next week just to highlight some of those things.
because they have a new pie chart that wasn't in any of the previous CAFRs that I think is
That was one of the things I highlighted.
interesting. I can't pull it up on my iPad, so I don't know why. It won't let me download it.
I just find it interesting that everybody asks why you're not audited annually, and here we are.
You'll recall a few months back, it actually the end of last year, probably October-ish, November, I presented the annual financial report, this is just a much more detailed, the auditors have their hand involved in this one, so it's just the annual financial report in greater detail.
Item 6.9, this is a recommendation for the board to approve a sole source vendor for Project Wisdom. And I did receive questions on this item because it was, I think, unexpected. So I want to share a little bit of background. The part of the discussion that came out of the discipline committee, and if you look back to that discipline statement, there was a lot of talking about how do we teach students positive behavior. And our district does have positive behavior intervention and support, so PBIS, and so we do that. We also say that in the instance that we have behavioral incidences, that we will provide appropriate interventions and opportunities to learn the skills necessary to shape positive behavior. So one of the things we did not want to do is put more on our staff on how do you now incorporate how you teach positive behavior. So one of the things that came up is that we were notified that we received a Title IV opportunity for a grant, and Title IV is the Safe and Drug-Free Schools. So there is a grant eligibility for $21,000, small amount of money, and the purpose of the grant has to be either providing all students with an access to a well-rounded education, improving school conditions for student learning, or improving the use of technology for academic achievement. And so because of the conversations that we have been having about the discipline committee, I recalled this program that we had used when I was a principal. So when we look at the sole source, it actually shows the 3 areas that they provide products, because that's what the company is. But we are looking at the online broadcast messages library. And what this would do is provide opportunities for our principals to have a daily message when they do their morning announcements that would reinforce positive character traits. And so that is the purpose of this. And I did print an example of an elementary and a secondary broadcast message for the board to see. And then we sent out some information as well. Primarily, they use a system where they use quotes that are, I would say, you know, they have a generic message that people would agree on in terms of caring or character and so forth. So the sample that I just passed around is around making choices or being responsible. And they give an example of the type of a broadcast message that is said in the mornings. And then at the end of the message, this has been the case since I did it in '85, the student message is something to think about, make it a great day or not, the choice is yours. So it just has them think about the choices they make during the day. It is not anything additional that teachers have to do. It's not anything additional in terms of curriculum, even though the company offers that. This is the section that we're looking at. So that is the information, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that program.
If we enroll in this, are the lesson plans and all those things accessible?
They are accessible. Yeah. We have access to all of it.
This is the problem I have. We said, how are we going to teach these values to the students? I don't see in our curriculum anywhere where it says teach these values. And we should be displaying the values and we should be correcting when necessary. But we sit here and we say, well, it'll only take 5 minutes of the principal's time or the assistant's time. But that's 5 minutes they might use for something they choose to use it for. The other thing is that what we do here today may be, and I'm finding this problem quite often, it may be well-intentioned, and as long as you're here, it may work just exactly the way you're saying it. But if unfortunately you go out tonight and run your car off a ditch, the next person comes in and we suddenly have these lesson plans being distributed through classrooms. And I have a real problem with taking on a program just to take on a program. I really do. You know, our teachers should be exhibiting these traits, and they should be correcting students when necessary. But I went down through this, and this is just a partial. Bullying, gossiping, teasing, citizenship, coping, fairness, death of a student, distributing news, drug and alcohol abuse, health and well-being, helping others, media literacy, relationship skills, respect of self and others, responsible decision-making, school shooting, and violence prevention. Every one of those is a valid thing for us to have discussions with our students when they're appropriate. And when they're not, there's no sense even bringing them up. That's my feeling.
Couple of clarifications first. This program is 1 year subscription only. This is one-time money. They would need to download and save the messages. In the old days, we got notebooks that had the messages in them, now it's electronic. The way that the libraries are built is that you can either just use them on a sequence, or you can follow up with the theme that you have and have that morning announcement. And then there are also special messages, so that, for example, if you had something happen in your community, there's a message you could pull that might address it. You use the school shooting, for example, there's some on other topics as well. I know when I used it, when we saw an increase in certain kinds of behaviors, I would pull some messages that address those behaviors. They're just basically conversation starters, a way to get kids thinking about things that they may not be hearing anywhere else in our society right now. So that's the primary purpose.
2 points to that. The first one is, you said that they could use them in order, not in order, whatever. But we all know that if you institute this program, and the superintendent suggests institute this program, the principals are all going to try to follow the same pattern that the superintendent wants. They're going to step out of line. And the other thing is that this is a 1 year program. But if you ever tried to do away with something in this bureaucracy, I will guarantee you next year we will see the same request coming at us again. So it's not a 1 year program. We have to look at this as though it's going to be with us for a long time.
It's a 1 year purchase.
Yeah.
It's a 1 year purchase, right? The messages, once you have them, are reusable annually. They have a series of 3, so that you could actually do 3 different years and not repeat the same messages.
I mean, I'm just bringing up points. I don't see the purpose. I really don't. I mean, I used to address all these things in my classes as a teacher. So, I mean, I really don't see the purpose of having something else put on top of everything else we've got. Because as much as you don't like to think this, the teachers and the principals are going to take this as a dictate from you. I mean, it's just another, it might only be 5 minutes, but it's 5 minutes where they're bound to do something.
So my understanding that it's just for principals, because they're the ones that do the announcements, or whoever they dedicate, or.
They would designate, and they could have guest announcements, those kinds of things. So it's just, every one of our schools does a morning patriotic observance. They do the flag salute, they do, announcements of some sort. So this would just be embedded in the morning announcement if they choose to do it. So, while they may feel obligated to do it, it was presented to them as this is a resource for you to utilize as we're talking about positive behavior and helping to reinforce the positive behavior. Did you have another question? Okay.
I only have concerns because I went through the website and there's a lot of things in there that we don't want shared with our students. And I don't know how that gets determined at a principal level. I don't want certain people being celebrated in our classrooms. And I don't know how you get a handle of that if everybody, because there's so much in there, there's so many options to use. And so that's my concern, because these kids are young and they're impressionable and they trust our principals implicitly, and if the principal says that this is a person to admire, then they're going to admire them. So that's what my concern is.
But I think that if we go down that road, then I don't think any one person on the board can make that decision. I think the entire board should have to sit down and go through that list and agree which ones don't want to include.
I guess when I hear that, the manager in me comes out. The manager in me says we hire principals because we trust their judgment. And if there's something in there that would be objectionable to the board or the community, if they put it out there, it's going to be found out very, very quickly, very shortly. I look at it this way. If I go out and I look at the history of public schools, and I go back to the 1600s, and I go and I look at that long period of time to present, we used to teach character and moral education in our schools. It used to be a part of it. We used to have, I hate to bring up the word Bible because some people will be offended by the word Bible, but we used to teach from the Bible. We used to teach from the primer, which was filled with the Bible, as a way to teach children. We've drifted away from that in the last 50 to 60 years. And we've drifted away from character education. I think it's accelerating as we get further away from that point 50, 60 years ago where we stopped. I think there's a value to this, and I think properly implemented as part of the budget announcements, I think that there are good things to impart. And as much as there's bad things in there, and it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. I would be remiss if I thought that Anne Frank's diary, an excerpt from that at the secondary level, would lead anybody astray on anything. And I think in this one that's been put before me, that parents can only give good advice or put their children on the right path, but the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands. If I think that statement's going to harm a child, then I wouldn't put it out there. And I see a value in this, and I think there's something good that will come out of it.
Well, my question is it necessary? That's my whole point. I mean, we've got some principals in the room right now, and I'm sure that they do broadcasts every morning, and they approach those subjects they think their students need. And my only question is this necessary? And are we simply putting one more layer on the cake?
I think given the numbers in the discipline committee that we saw, I think that it is necessary. When you get up in a school with roughly 1,600 students, when you get up around 6,400 referrals, which is where we sit last year, to the principal's office, I think that it's highly necessary. We shouldn't be referring 60% of our students for being tardy or truant or disrespecting a teacher or not complying with the classroom request to the office. These are all character issues. Where are we missing the boat with 6,400 referrals in a 1,600 student environment? That to me is mind-boggling. And if we're talking about our administrators' time, maybe some character education will free some of that administrator time up. Just my thought.
So sometimes, though, you can deliver a message and make it continuous, and it doesn't have to be real long.
Correct.
And an example is years ago, the AIA used to put out posters that were anti-smoking. And I can remember there was a young athlete in Oklahoma that chewed tobacco. And they had a picture of him, what this had done to him. Now that picture we put in different areas of the school, and we used those posters in every room. And so every day a kid's eyes would go to something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can deliver, if you can deliver messages with minimal amount of time that are repeated over and over, sometimes it can be real positive. Another example was, what does a high school dropout make in a lifetime? What is a high school graduate and a college graduate? If the kid sees that every day and he's going to class, somewhere along the line, he's going to figure it out. Hey, I need education. So, and athletics has done this for years. In the gyms and all that, they've had these messages. And you look up there, and at first it doesn't make any sense because you're going through all this stuff. But over a period of time, the kid keeps looking at that, and the coach doesn't have to harp on it. It's just in a short period of time, with very little effort, the message gets through. So I think sometimes things like this, you're not looking at a lot of time.
Right. See, I'm not disagreeing with either you or Mr. Madsen. I'm not disagreeing that we need to convey these expressions to the students. What I'm saying is, a good principal will do that anyway, and a teacher should be doing it constantly. And do we need another program? Is it required?
And really, personally, I see it as a resource. It's not really a program. So it's a resource that should they choose to use it in their daily announcements. And again, it's not mandated in any way. It's just one more resource that they can have. I did share with them, however, and so when you say, are they going to, I guess it all depends on whether they want to please me or not, but as the experience that I had as a principal, so I will just go back to that from being in a high poverty and high need school. For a lot of our students, hearing something like that the first thing in the morning just reset them for the day, depending on their experience they've had. And it provided us with a conversation starter on, well, remember we talked about that, being responsible. And it almost became a joke for us. I remember this is junior high school at the time. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours. But kids would say, you know what, I thought about that today before I did such and such or whatever. It stuck with them. And I still have, and I'll have to bring it in, but at the end of 8th grade, one of my students actually embroidered for me on a little thing, make it a great day or not, the choice is yours, because she had heard it every day for 2 years. So those things, they have they do have an impact. It's just one small area to do that in. This is, it's a suggestion of a way that we could help address some of those lack of education of character issues that we do have in our community.
Can I just say, again, it's a resource, and this is going to sound funny, but my junior year in high school, I had a principal that had our attention in the morning, every morning. And he would often cite a quote, and one that he said to me, I still remember today. He said, good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is your best. And I thought, that's, what is that all about? But I started thinking about it, and I heard it, and then I really got the point. A little later, it registered. And it stuck with me. I still have it in my head today. It's called
You see, you made my point. Did that principal go buy that statement somewhere?
I don't know. He just had a routine every morning. It was like he's setting the tone for the day for kids. And they had this positive message. Whether they thought about it or not, somewhere maybe it made a difference. And it did for me my junior year in high school. I tried to do better in everything that I did as a result of that.
All right, item 610 is the vouchers and funds, auxiliary funds.
I have a question about the high school. It's the last one page. So, am I correct that for the override, the voters voted in $500,000 to go towards sports? Is that correct? For the override?
We just talked about lowering the athletic fees.
I thought there was an infusion from the override.
200,000. We
It's
put in to lower the athletic.
Okay, so 200,000. So had we started getting, is that 200 spread over the next, let's just say an average of 7 years, is that 200 to be spread over the 7 years of the override?
It was for this year.
It
And
was-
we're looking to propose for next year as well, but it goes towards paying all coaching stipends and the substitute teachers for those coaches when they're away.
Okay. So have we already received the 200,000 from the override?
There
It's
was
coming
a,
out of maintenance and operations.
And so where will it show up? I know it won't show up in our facility.
It won't show up.
But where will it show up?
It'll show up, and I can run the report, it'll show up in the general ledger, just showing that we budgeted for $200,000, $150,000 in coaching stipends, so that would be like 6117 would be the object code for that,
Okay,
and then 50,000 for substitute teachers.
okay. So I can see right now that our balance in high school sports is about $430,000 with a few more months to go. And I'm curious about tax credit, what we collected for high school sports through tax credit.
I can get, that's not reflected in any of these
No,
reports, that would
no.
be a separate one. but
I just
can
like
get that
to kind of see the total amount that we have access to this year, and knowing that we may not have access to that 200,000 next year. How would we collect 200,000 next year though?
So the idea behind this was that if we could lower the participation fees and offset it for 2 years with the 200,000, that would give the opportunity for the athletics departments to work on their budget so that they could work within the $200 per student tax credit instead of 400 or 400. Is it 400? It's $400 instead of 800. And so, so really it was a transition for them to get used to that booking and budgeting on that smaller amount per student for the fees.
I mean, I can't imagine any expenses changing. I mean, if anything, they're going to become more. Gas is going up.
The biggest area, and I know Mr. Murray has been working with the athletic director in terms of building that budget, but is trying to look at what are the real expenses that we need to budget for. So we have the stipends, we have substitutes, we have transportation, and those are kind of the big areas. It may not be that they have 3 sets of uniforms and new ones every year, you know, those are the kinds of things. So they had the time to acquire a lot of the equipment that's necessary, and so we want to see what does it really cost us to do athletics. And it may be that that's not enough as the 400 per. It may be that we need to say we're going to have to support that through maintenance and operations rather than raise the athletic fees.
And on that line, may I ask you, I guess it would be appropriate to ask you now. I know that there's a bill in the legislature to get rid of tax credit. Have we spoken to Sonny Baretti and
So actually different members have spoken with those two about it, and the indication is that the bill is probably doesn't have any legs. That I'm not sure where it stands right now, but they don't think there's any real appetite in the legislature to cut that off. There is another bill that is expanding the tax credit for private schools, and that has gone forward. So just based on, you know, would they bring that one forward if they were really thinking about sunsetting all of it?
Well, and it wasn't just school tax credit, it was all tax credit. They went after the whole bit, and that was probably a huge one, so.
Well, it was probably a mistake for the state to have gone down that road, but once they've gone, because they miss a lot of tax revenue, but once they went down that road, I don't know how they're going to go back with that paying less.
Pandora's box.
Sure.
I have one other thing for you, Mike. We talked about this once before. Has anybody ever looked into outsourcing these shirts?
Yes, we have. Here in town, the challenge is we don't have a vendor who has the facilities large enough to be able to just house all of them in one location and then have everyone go to a storefront, if you will. But
That's fine. I
That's
just
still-
wanted to
still-
make sure we touch base, that's all.
it's still on the burner. I mean, it's just not real operating. We're still looking at it.
I just know it's aggravating to somebody someplace, right? Their shirts.
It is, it's just more work, it's something that we have our staff in our buildings, it's one more task on their job description, basically. So if we can outsource it, that would be great.
What about that company, the parent who came and spoke, and the parent just ordered the shirts themselves,
French toast.
didn't we?
We looked into that, but really didn't go too much further than the presentation. The main concern, I think, was just the price, the cost associated with it would be a little bit more than what they're paying now, so our concern was the individuals who can't afford, paying for a shirt on their own. So there's just some logistics and some financial resources that we have to align to make that.
And 7 is our informational items, and we have reports from education services, personnel and technology, and special services that are in writing. We will have a brief update on the advisory committees and their work at that meeting, and then Mr. Rooney was at the Employee Benefit Trust as your representative, so he may have a few words to say about that meeting as well that evening, next week. That is our agenda so far. I would like to mention, and we did send out a notice that we would like to have a executive session at 5:15 on the 20th, and that is to discuss an OCR complaint that we received and the resolution. I should go ahead and take it up.
Okay. Well, I only have one announcement in front of me, and that is our next scheduled meeting is February 20th at 6 p.m. right here. Any other announcements?
I've got one thing just to throw out to the superintendent. The superintendent evaluation form, I'd be much happier than at 5 selection instead of 3.
You can make it 5 instead of 11.
I have a reason for that. There's some things that you might say you have to observe over the last year. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is if you have 5 distractors, if we ever do get into the business of doing statistics and analysis, you can be much more accurate with 5 distractors.
There are 3 of them. I haven't, and I won't see those are community. But that is the board's farm, so certainly it's working.
Just thought I'd mention.